All right. Hello, everyone. Getting started a little early today because Emma is starting daddy daycare. Ashley's going back to work, so I'm taking care of Emma now. So most of my mornings will be that. But I'm going to try to squeeze in these Wednesday live streams kind of probably at 10 o'clock. I might move them up just a little bit because it's during her morning nap window. But I'll need to kind of promptly cut them off, after about 30 minutes. So we'll just see how far we get. Like I said, I'm going to keep working on this Shift CLI tool that I build here as part of this Laracast series. I think you can check out the first 3 videos for free, and then after that, you need an account. But I think I made 12 episodes or so there's a lot here. You'll see kind of the beginnings of me building this bit here. So what I want to do though is continue expanding on this tool and hopefully replace the Workbench desktop application with this command line CLI tool. So that's kind of the rough plan. So last week, if you were watching, you saw that I kind of have this Laravel Zero application, and we were hacking out some of the bugs that were kind of specific for the series to open this tool up that anyone can run and install it on any project, or theoretically globally on their system to run in their projects. Ran into a lot of bugs last week. We patched some of those kind of on the fly to make it work. But I think that led me to the fact that we probably need to go back and add some tests for this thing. So I was taking a look at Laravel Zero's testing kind of harness or out-of-the-box test suite. And of course, since Nuno built it, it uses Pest. I like Pest. I think I'm going to like it more with V2. And at that point, I will probably use it more often. I really like the kind of, spec functional tests that you get with Pest. I think it's less noisy than PHP unit, but version 2 is not released yet. And as such, there's some things about it that I just think are still a little bit, I'm trying to think of the right word here, edgy, maybe? I just think it needs to mature just a teeny bit more. But I do like it, and I use it on, some projects. But I think I'm going to stick with PHP unit for this for now. I can always run a shift later to convert it to Pest. So really, I've just kind of followed this PHP unit kind of setup here. And basically, we should be at a place now where if I run this, it just kind of craps out, right? Oh, looks like I've got an old I've got an old configuration file. So let's fix that. That must have just come out of the box with Laravel Zero. And let's see what happened here. Modified. We definitely don't need this backup file. That's dumb. All right. And there we have it. I also don't really use dist, but whatever. All right, so let's do vendor bin PHP unit. And there we go. So we're running PHP unit 10 now, and it pulled in the configuration file that it said. So let's go take a peek at that, just make sure that's all set up the way we want. We've got feature tests, unit tests. Again, this is a Laravel Zero application, so it's much like a Laravel application. The test suite is here. And I think what I'd like to do is, again, start writing some tests, just see how far we get in the next half hour. So let's get to it. So I'm going to get into this feature test, and I'm basically just going to make a new, I think I can have PHP unit test. Yeah, there we go. And let's just call this, what should we call it? This will be run command test. All right. Oh, that's strange. Oh, it wanted the class that I was messing with. Okay, that's strange. Sometimes those auto creations in PHP Storm are not that awesome, or they're confusing. Okay. All right, so there we go. Run command test. All right, so this is what we want to test. So let's kind of take a peek at how we might go about doing this. What I would like to do is we have this task manifest that gets injected, which would mean that we should be able to swap this out in the container. So that's cool. So we can kind of swap that out for a fake to kind of get these other things so we're not actually running a task. Okay, so it's going to loop over the arguments that we pass in. Cool. So we can kind of pass in some fake arguments. And then we could set this up where it actually errored out. That's good. So what does create task do? It basically news up a task name. That's going to be kind of interesting. So we would need an actual class. And then if it does these other things, it's going to kind of set those files. That's really interesting. And then it ultimately calls perform. So private task registry, it calls manifest list. We could have it throw an invalid argument. So I think there's a lot of tests that we could write here. So I think this might take a little bit, but I think it's a good use, because basically this would kind of verify some of the tasks and options that we were using before. And we saw last week that these were actually a little bit broken. So I think this is a good place to start, but to the point might only it might take the whole time to get this going. All right, so I'm going to bring these up side by side, and let's just write the empty test cases for what we kind of want to do here. And I'm just going to kind of go down the line, and we'll just say something like it throws exception for unknown task. Okay, so that's kind of that first one. And if we get down into create task, if we go down to task registry, which is called before the task, that's where that invalid argument exception comes in. Okay, so there's that. So we'll kind of set this up here in a minute, and let's make these, we're using PHP unit 10. So I think now you do something with an annotation, an attribute. No, not create class. It's called test. Where are you? You are PHP unit framework attributes test. All right, why didn't you import like a, oh my God, PHP Storm, what is going on? Here we go. I don't know why that didn't want to import a second ago. Maybe PHP Storm can't import attributes? I don't know, that's strange. Anyway, this is kind of the new PHP unit 10 way to do it. Side note, there is a Shift being released for this in the next 24 hours, probably. I was just testing it before this live stream. So again, if I can get some nap window time for Emma, I'm gonna launch a beta. So if you're interested in upgrading your PHP unit test suite to PHP unit 10 and getting, some of these again are optional changes, but if you want to get this new, attribute syntax and some of that stuff, that Shift will do this. Okay, I think the next thing is we pass it a correct task name, but maybe perform fails in some way, right? Perform returns like a non-zero. So we could say something like it outputs error for failed task. All right. And then the next thing I would want to do is if we go down to create task, I want to kind of hit these other loopholes here, or other logical paths. So we could say something like it sets properties based on options, command options. So again, just trying to get all the different kind of paths. Okay, and the very first thing, these are all kind of the sad paths. I think the very first thing would be something like it performs the task, right? That would be kind of the most simple thing. Okay, so the most simple thing would be it performs the task. Now, while we can fake the task registry or task manifest, we cannot fake the setting up of the new here. You could, let's bring these back together. That's kind of tough to get the screen. There we go. You could do something here where you had like some kind of factory or like task manifest. We could put this in the task manifest and like say something like create, just to make this encapsulated in a way. So we could say like task manifest, create name or something, or create task. I don't know if it's that thing's responsibility to do that, but the point is since this is already injected, if we wanted to kind of control this a little bit better, you know, we don't have to put the new there, because, you know, if you're familiar with testing, you know that like anytime you have a new, you don't really have hooks into what you need. So in general, I think I would probably do that like in another test suite or another project. But if we think about it, the task manifest is ultimately what gives us the name to create that task. So we're already in a way controlling what we need to control to be able to new things up. And given the reflection-esque type stuff we're doing here with class uses recursive, we do in fact need a real class for PHP to really, this code to perform the way we want it to. So I think what I'm going to do instead is we're definitely going to need some fixtures. So what I'm going to do is just make a fixtures directory, and inside of here, we're just going to make a test task. All right, or like an example task or something. So let's change that name actually. So let's do class, task, and I forgot, do we extend tasks? Do we have any kind of inheritance? No, we don't. Okay, so this is our kind of sample task, and we'll say perform and, oops, sorry, public function perform. We'll just let this return 0 because it's just a sample task, and we can say like use find files, and use, is dirty part of that? I think all we have is find files, right? Yeah, find files covers dirty. All right, let's simplify that, and let's also namespace this so we have access to it. So test. We can't really namespace that way. You'd have to namespace your fixtures. It's not going to like that. Yeah, see, PHP Storm's already griping because it really should be test fixtures, in which case fixtures would be capital if we wanted to honor PSR4. I'm just trying to think, should I put this top level in test, or should we? It's truly a class that we're using. I'm just trying to think, is it really a fixture, or is it just kind of like a, is it like a support task? All right, when in doubt, just support it out. Let's just do that. Let's put this here, refactor it. Whoa, that is Emma, and she is awake. I don't know if you can hear that, but she's pissed off. All right. Okay, so we've got this under test support. We'll come back to fixtures because we're going to need fixtures when we actually perform the real tasks. So I'm going to leave that for now locally. But yeah, let's just put this under support. It's a supporting class for the tests. I think this is legitimate. Okay, and so the point here is if we go back to it performs the task, we should be able to now start kind of making this work the way we want to, right? So let's say something like, we can say something here like, first of all, we need our task manifest is equal to mockery mock. All right, so let's mock that. And do we need to mock the task manifest class itself, like a real one? I don't think we, Yeah, we do. I think we do type hint. I think we do type hint in the command, don't we? Yeah, we do. Okay, so we need to make sure that we're mocking that class so the type hint is effective. Then we would say this swap. Nope. Is there not a swapping in the Laravel Zero? Do you have to container swap it? How would you do that? Let's check the docs. We should have access to the container. Oh, did I not extend the right test case? I did not. Let's fix that. We were extending our test case. There we go. Now we should have access to this swap. All right, this swap, there it is. Task manifest with our task manifest. All right, that should take care of that. And then we need to say task manifest expects, what is it? List, task list? What do we call here? On the, yeah, we call list. Okay. So it expects list, and it's going to return an array. So it, with no args, and return an array. In this case, it's going to return the test task class, right? And if we go look at like how list really works, it's going to pull up a manifest. It's going to, or well, sorry, it's not really going to do this right now, but ultimately it needs to return an array for the manifest. And if we kind of look down here, basically this is what it returns. So we'll need to actually make a mapping of this. So what we'll need to return, that's kind of why I wanted to look at it. What we need to return is a key value pair for those mappings. So this will basically be test task, right? Okay, so in its simplest form, when we call this, we should now be able to say, this call, or is it artisan? I always forget. Artisan? Yeah. So we just call the run command, I guess. Run, and we'll pass it test task, and, or let's see, assert successful, I think. I think that's what we're after. And I think you can say like expects no output or something. Doesn't expect output. Can you say like pass it nothing? Specify output that should never be printed. Expect output, doesn't expect output to contain. How can you say like expects no output? They should have like an doesn't expect output to contain. Specify that the given string shouldn't be contained in the command output. Doesn't specify output that should never be printed when the command was run. See, this is kind of strange. Doesn't expect output. What's the difference between doesn't expect output and expects output not to contain? That's, doesn't expect output, in my opinion, should be like it prints out nothing. But that's kind of strange. Specify the output that should be printed when the command runs. Specify the output that should never be printed when the... This is weird. I think you'd have to say like expects output blank. I don't know. That's weird. We're gonna find out. Okay, let's see this run. How about that? Vendor, what time is it getting to be? All right, I got about 10 minutes. Vendor bin PHP. Whoa, hello. PHP unit filter that. Task not registered, test task. Okay, so what that means to me is it's not getting our swap is kind of what it means to me. And we can prove that by kind of getting in here and saying var dump task manifest list. Let's just see what this list says. It doesn't dump anything. Why wouldn't you dump anything at all? Run command. Are we even getting here? Var dump here. We are not getting there. Tasks? Whoa, okay, hold on. This is a Laravel lifecycle thing. This is a Laravel lifecycle thing. Commands are pre-built in the application. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Commands are registered as part of the providers, and as such, I don't think that they're it's kind of difficult to explain. It's the life cycle of this. Let me just demonstrate this real fast. I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. Let's move this down to here. You'll notice that here in the constructor never happens, right? We could put like a DD here just to be really explicit about it. Okay, so we do get that to be built, but I guess my point is, let's put this back for a second. It runs the constructor, but it runs it very high up is I guess what I'm saying. Let's put this back and take out here. And I think what we'll see is that it doesn't get ours because the constructor is called before our test. I think a more appropriate solution would be like this. So let's just say constructor, right? And let's go back to our test, and we'll kind of dump test. And I think this is going to demonstrate what I'm talking about, that the command is actually instantiated before our test, and as such our swap is not working. And I think this is something with providers and commands, some really high level things inside of the kind of Laravel application that get pre-built before the rest of the application does. So yeah, so we can say like in test, and I think we'll see that we're in the constructor and then in the test. And that's my point, is that because of that, even though you would typically register this in the constructor, I think because of the life cycle of the way the test application is built, and then therefore if we go look at like if we go look at the providers inside of this, I think we'll see that the task manifest is registered as a singleton. That's part of it. Well, it should still be swapped in the test. It's not so much here. It's that if we went deeper into Laravel Zero, my guess is that they register their commands earlier. So, and again, it's proved here that it's calling the constructor before it calls our tests. I've seen this before. If you write a lot of tests for your application, and particularly commands, you'll kind of notice some nuance like this. So the way around it, and if you look at the Laravel documentation, we can finish this up real quick, and then I probably got to go. But if we can get it, we can basically inject things into handle, much like you inject things into your controller. So it's a little bit of a gotcha when you're testing, and this is pretty ugly. And yeah, I think Adrian's pointing out in the chat that you can basically use resolve to build that. But if we put it here and just kind of assign it to the property, which is gross, I can come up with a better way to do this off stream. But I think if we do this, we'll see that hopefully this test, yeah, exactly, output blah, blah, blah was not printed. So we get a lot farther now is the point. And it's actually, if we now do a dump of our manifest list, we should see our faked manifest now. So there you go. Okay, so we're on the right track. Now it's just kind of going back to this whole stupid thing of like doesn't expect output. I don't know, we could do something like that. I mean, there should be like an expects no output or something, you know? I don't know why it's not there, but whatever. We can just do this, I guess. So let's get rid of this in test. So the point is this worked. We faked the manifest to give ourselves a example task, right? And then we're actually calling that task, and it's performing it and therefore returning 0 and not doing anything else. So I've got about 5 minutes left, so let's see if we can kind of get this to work the way we want. So in this case, we'll do something like this, and here we can say run something like foo task, and we could say assert failed, and I think you can say like this expects exception, and we should be able to say, now again, Laravel may catch this exception and do something with it, but let's find out. We would expect an invalid argument exception. This is kind of what we expect. So let's see if this works. Oh, we're still filtering. Let's get rid of our filter. Okay, so yeah, those don't have any tests, but it looks like the one we wanted ran, and we could even go so far as to say expects exception message, because I think we, message, because I think we say something in here. So let's just get that right. And we could say something like task not registered, and it's foo task. So that hopefully will pass, and it does, I believe. Let's make sure. Let's just throw that. Filter equals. There we go, we're green. All right, so let's keep moving down the line here. The next one is it outputs error for failed task. Okay. Let's do this. Let's make another test task, but this one is one that fails. So I'm going to go back to my test cases in support, and let's change the name of this. So let's call this good task. All right, and then we'll make a bad task. And this will return, 1, 2, 3, doesn't really matter. Bad task, and it doesn't need the usages on there. All right, cool. Let's go back to our test, and let's register. Well, first of all, let's change these. Let's say good task. There we go. So let's run good task, foo task, and here we're going to run bad task. Bad task, and we'll say bad task, and in this case we would assert failed, I believe, or well, do we call failed? Run test command, do we fail it? If not, return error. We always return 0. It ran, but we might want to look into changing that later, that if it failed, whatever, but I think it seems like we're still going to assert successful, but now we would actually expect some output. It'd be nice to be able to say like the type of output that we expect. Like it'd be cool if it said like expects error, error output. That'd be kind of neat. I don't know if that exists or not, but let's just say expects output, and it's this, failed to run task. Oops, failed to run task, bad task. All right, so this should pass as well, so let's just take off our filter. We got a failure. Expects status code 0, but received 1, 2, 3. Oh, do we return that? Oh, we do, okay, duh. All right, sorry, assert exit code 1, 2, 3. There we go. Cool, gotcha, Adrian. Okay, moving right along, it sets property based on command options. So this should be a good test. So let's dump this into here. This is our good task. It should have all the proper stuff. So now if we do dirty, how would we get access to this? If we do dirty and what's our other thing? We pass it like some paths, right? Let's just say it sets dirty. Here's the tricky part. How do we get access? How would we get access to this task at runtime to see that it properly set that? These are all protected, so we wouldn't have access to that at this point in time. Trying to think here. We could do something a little bit interesting where we made another task, we called it dirty task, and it would only return true if the property dirty was set. So that's an example. So it would be something like dirty task, dirty task, and basically the only way you get an exit code of 0 or successful is if the dirty flag was set on it, right? That would be kind of a way to do this. You're starting to make a bunch of tasks, but they'll probably come in handy later. Because otherwise you can't really get access to this thing at runtime. We would, I think for the purposes of this test, creating the different types of tasks, just a good task, a bad task, or a successful task or a failed task or whatever, is kind of probably the easiest approach. I'm just trying to see if there's any other. We can set it here, set dirty to true, and we return the task, and then we just perform, right? There's no make the task a inline class and override the dirty and make the assertion there. Yeah, that's pretty techie. Yeah, you could. The problem is you knew it up, but yeah, you could like return what is it, new class here, I think, or just you don't even need the return. It's just like a new anonymous class. Yeah, does that work though? Can you call new on new, or would you register? Would you just register an anonymous class? Would it be something weird like this? I forgot how the anonymous classes are written. Yeah. You could do that. I don't know. I think that gets a little fancy in my book. I think these dirty tasks would probably be the way to go. I'm just trying to think. I'm thinking ahead of what does the path one look like? Because, that would be very specific to you passing in certain file names, right? I think the easiest thing to do would probably just be to make these other two tasks. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Next is, I think I'll need to stop the stream here just to get on back to being a dad, but we could say it sets paths based on command arguments. And I think we'll just make like a path task. And this would be more like, path. Did we say path or paths? I always forget. Path. So we'll say path equals, foo.php -- path equals, source bar.php, and you can even do like path equals tests. What's the next one? Key or something .php. So yeah, you could do something like that, and then I could basically like assert those same things, but it's kind of nasty. Yeah. Yeah, I think the easiest thing to do would probably be to just create these other tasks. And let's just do the dirty one real quick so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So we would just say dirty task. We could actually go back to the good task, and we don't need this anymore because it's just our successful one, but we will use it for dirty. This would be called dirty tasks, and here we would only return true. Basically, we would say like int val of this dirty, right? So it would only ever return, or well, it would be this not dirty, right? So int val dirty, negate it, true. Yeah, it's pretty dense. It's a little bit dense. Let's just do this. Let's make this a little clearer. So we'll just say this dirty, 1, otherwise 0. Oh no, it does return 0. It's going to return successful if it's dirty. Yeah, okay, there we go. That's actually, so int val actually would work in this case. No, dirty true. Yeah, it's inverted. Okay, sorry. See, this is why I wanted to write it more clear. Okay, so this dirty would be that one, and then, or I think anyways, we'll find out. And then if we do like path task, here we can, just for now, we can say something like this, files. Again, this is a little bit loose, but we could count the files and say like it's equal to 3. And, you know, if it's equal to 3, then we return 0. Otherwise, you know, it failed somehow. And we'll just say path task. And we could also, you know, do some kind of exception here to make our life a little easier, right? That is an alternative. You could actually say something here of like, if count, this might be better, more communicative for the test. So if count files is not equal to 3, then we could do something like throw new, you know, runtime exception or something. Or I think there's even like a logic exception. Yeah, we could say something like that where it's like, oh, you know, you should have passed whatever, right? And then otherwise we would always just return 0 because we know that it worked. So this is another alternative. This might be a little bit cleaner because you're going to get some feedback. This task expects 3 paths to be passed, right? So we could do something like that. I like this approach better now that I'm looking at it. So let's go back to dirty task and kind of just do the same thing. So we'll just say always return that unless, you know, not this dirty, right? So not this dirty. And we could say this task expects the dirty option to be set. Zoom, or sorry, eCam Live is like in my way. There we go. All right, let's see what this looks like. Okay, task not registered, good task. Oh, did we? Yeah, we never changed this. Dirty. All right, task not registered, good task. So let's go back to path task, path task. Let's import that. Let's try this again. Good task, it sets paths. Where's my good task? There it is. Path task. Okay, they all pass. So just to demonstrate what this would look like, hopefully if we take off our dirty option, we get a failure, and there you go. That's, to me, this is the clean approach, right? It's an extra class, but it's a fixture. It's part of the test suite. You get a better runtime exception here, right? And maybe there could be a different exception, but it doesn't really matter. The point is this is helpful. This task expects the dirty option to be set. Boom, you got a failure. It's thrown an exception. It tells you, you know, where the issues were. You could track it. Any developer could track this down from here. I think that's a lot cleaner than an anonymous class with all the code right in there in the test case. It's just a little more explicit. It keeps this nice and lean. It keeps this class pretty straightforward. Again, you've got a very direct line number to come and see, oh, yeah, okay, duh, you know. And we're not getting too strict about what you pass down here. It's just the fact that you pass 3 files. So again, if we were to take this off, we should see a similar exception. This task expects 3 paths to be passed. There you go. I think this is pretty good. This is a good start. Whoops, let's go back and fix this as well. I think this is a good start. So this is kind of the entry point into the application. We have a pretty thorough test here, pretty minimal changes to anything else, and it kind of builds up the test suite. So I think what would be next week is to start writing tests for the tasks, or maybe at least building a new task and writing a test for it, and then I can backfill the stuff for the old. So I think that's what we'll do next week. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining live, and see you then.